Hi everybody, so I promised you a video on how to do what do you call response to readings direct quote analysis. So first of all, this is not a hard assignment. I think it'll work well for you guys. So I just want to show you at the start, don't sweat this. It's important. I think it's a really good learning tool, but I do think you guys all do very well at this. So the way it works, by the way, what you're looking at is a cover page you'll put on your assignment when you turn it in, either at the midterm for the first half of the responses or on the final. So you can see the two books we're using for this class, Augustus, The Life of Our Emperor by Anthony Everett, and then you have the textbook, which is right here, by Alfred, Andrea, and James Overfield, Human Record. Those are the two books we're going to use for class. So in the cover page, you'll put those books in, and you'll put the title of the assignment, which is right up there, Response to Readings Direct Quote Analysis Assignment, and then you put your two books in, your name, of course, and my class information, or our class information. And here's what it's going to look like. So our class, as you guys know, is in modules, is structured into individual weeks. So that's how you'll do this assignment too. In this case, I did week 2. If you guys go into modules and look at the reading assignment for week 2, these are the assignments you'll see. So for week 2, for our class, I assigned the preface of Augustus, I assigned the introduction and chapter 1. So for week 2, you'll do all 3 of those. And then in your other textbook, I assigned 2 readings. I assigned the Epic of Gilgamesh, and I assigned the Judgments of Hammurabi. So you have a total of 5 different chapters or portions to respond to with 2 quotes each for week 2 for our class. So here's what that looks like. So so the way it works is in modules, you'll go to week 2 and you'll click on reading homework and response to readings direct quote analysis. You'll click on that and it'll open up and it'll show you what the reading is for that day. And I guess I could do that now. Give me a second here. Let me bring that up. That's not it. It's always a little risky. Oh, here we go. Okay, so we're getting there. So let's go to modules. So my apologies for... Okay, so here we go. So you see week 2, right? Unit 1, week 2, and there's the dates. So you would click on this. It said reading homework, response to readings. So you click on that. There's some nice pictures of you getting ready to read. You can change the whatever, but then what you need to do. Hold on, wait a second here. Squeeze this. Okay. So read your assigned readings and then do your response to readings, which I'll explain here in just a minute. So you'll scroll down, and this is not big enough. Let's see if I can make this bigger. I can make. Okay, hold on. You know. Well, I'm recording this live. I don't want to monkey with it for too long here, but it's not big enough here. I wonder if I can. I thought I could make this bigger. Okay, well, I better stop. Okay, so in any case, you can see the readings right here, and the readings are both listed there, even though, unfortunately, my little viewing screen is too small for the page in Canvas. Try to make it smaller there. Well, that's okay. Well, that can work. That's not what I wanted, but okay, that can work for me here. So there's the readings. You can see Anthony Everett's Augustus, preface, introduction, chapter 1. So you see there's 3 chapters you're doing, and then in your other textbook right here, you see 2 readings there. The first one's page 513, Epic of Gilgamesh. And the second one is pages 13 to 17, the Judgments of Hammurabi. So for the entirety of week 2, that is your reading assignments all bundled together. Now, how do we do the assignments? So let's go back to that. Okay, so there we go. So when you start, again, you'll sit down with your beverage of choice, and you'll have your 2 books with you to read for the week. And you might do it over several different sessions reading whatever. But let's suppose English. So you go to your bedroom or your living room or wherever you're sitting down, comfortable bench outside. You got your iced drink or hot drink, as your preferences vary. And you sit down to relax, and you grab Anthony Everett's Augustus and you do the first reading, in this case, which is the preface. It's not long, it's actually quite short. Read the preface. So the way you do the assignment is, as you read, you can look for 2 quotes from the preface. And I'll show you an example of what that might look like. So I did this. So the first quote, and here's what you do. We'll put Anthony Everett's Augustus preface. So you'll put the specific reading. Then you put quote plus significance, and then you jump in with the quote. And there's the quote right there. However, certain forms of degradation, slavery, the low status of women, the gladiatorial carnage arena, shook and astonished us. And then you'll put the page number where you got that. And that was actually Roman numeral page 10. So once you put the quote, for the very first quote, you can explain why that's significant, either to the story or what's taking place within the story you're reading, or the context you're reading, or it could be why is it significant to you. It could be either one. So here's what I put. How does one today make judgments about issues that Everett terms certain forms of degradation that are common in the Roman world, such as slavery, inferior status of women, imperialism, etc., that do not fall into the extremes of smug, self-righteous presentism, or moral relativism that holds no universal standards of morality and humanity. Now, by the way, you don't have to write like I did right there. That was me thinking, my brain thinking about that. That's fine for me. You just write what is good to you. So don't think like, do I have to write, some version of that? No. Why is it significant to you, or why does that appear to be significant to the story? I just want to see you thinking about it. So don't, when you read my first sample, don't think, okay, so I got to write like that. No, you don't. Now you will put it in a format like that, quote, page number, and then your thoughts. But again, I'm looking for your thoughts. What do you think? So you'll find a quote. Again, the nice thing is you select the quotes. I don't do it for you. You do it yourself. So you find 2 quotes from that first chapter, in this case, the preface, that for some reason strike you or interest you or excite you or puzzle you. And so the first one, I found one I liked, and then I explained why I thought it was significant. Now, for the second quote, you'll do something simple. The first part's the same. The second part's different. That is, whoops. I don't need that preface there. We already have preface up here. Oops, hold on. Okay. Now this one again, the first part is exactly the same. You simply find a quote that you like from in this case, the preface that we just read. You find a quote, and then in this case, you're going to create a question that the quote brings up for you. The nice thing is really important. You do not need to answer the question. So you're not creating like a quiz or something, right? It's just genuinely, as you're reading, you come across some quote and interesting, but I don't know, what does that mean? Or why would they do this? Or why does the author say this? Or why would Augustus do that? I don't get it. Okay, that's perfect, right? So let me show you an example of this. So let me scroll up so you guys, my writing's not blocked. So here's the quote I found in the preface. The task of writing about the life of Augustus is complicated by the fact that many contemporary sources are lost. Casualties of the Dark Ages, the autobiography down to 25 BC that Augustus wrote in Spain, his correspondence with Cicero, Agrippa's memoirs, the history of his time by Pulio and Messala's commentaries on the civil wars after Julius Caesar's assassination, 30 books of Livy's Great History of Rome, covering the period of 44 to 9 BC. By the way, that's kind of a long quote. You don't have to have long quotes like that. Just ask what I found. And then you put the page number. See, that was parentheses, P for page, and then period, and then XI with Roman numeral, it means 11. So then here's my question right here, right? Which is, if we have so few and apparently not always reliable sources of the life of Augustus, how can Everett or anyone make confident judgments about his life and era? Oh, I like that question. That's why I made that. Again, I don't necessarily know the answer, and you don't really know the answer too. Remember, the question you make based on the quote you chose is a question you honestly don't know the answer to. So sometimes students get confused, so I got to write a question and I have to answer it. No, you are not answering because you honestly don't know, right? You're just I wonder, why? Perfect. So choose a good quote that brings up a puzzle to you, put the page number, and then write out your question. So you will save these on this document, and then you'll go back to your book, right? In this case, you go back to your book, you get a fresh cup of coffee or iced tea or whatever, mineral water or ice water, whatever sounds good for you, some little lemon in there, whatever sounds good to you. And then you go to the introduction. There we go. So again, you'll lean back in your chair and you start reading. So as you read, you do the exact same thing you did in the previous preface. You're looking for 2 quotes. One, talk about the significance. The second one is you'll bring a question. And here's what I did. So, and this is from the introduction. He was known as Augustus, or revered one, a name that separated him from ordinary mortals. However, he never praised his authority. He did not like to be called Dominus, or my lord, but Princeps, or top person or first citizen. And that is from the introduction. That's why they're using those funky page numbers. It's XXX, III, or that'd be number 33 in Roman numerals. And then it gets to why is this significant as I see it. Again, you'd be choosing your own quote and seeing this to you. But here's what I wrote. It appears Augustus is walking a careful line between a person of great power, and yet he wants to avoid the high titles of most people in power. Seems this is a careful strategy he's adopting to have power, but not to flaunt that power. Okay, good. That's just my judgment on why I think that quote is significant. And then, again, in that same, again, you'll be reading, you come across a second quote, like, oh, this one brings up a good question. This one's a short one. And this is, Augustus was not the only lotus eater. Now, I'm a historian, but I have to admit, when I wrote the term lotus eater, I was like, don't know what that means. I don't know what lotus means. So I had to Google it. So, but this is a wonderful place where, by the way, if it's simply a vocabulary word, don't use it as a question. But if it's a term referring to something specific that's not common, that might be a good one. And then you can look it up. But again, you don't know the answer, but here, hold on. Edit my own writing right there. But what does the term lotus eater mean? How does Everett apply this to Augustus at this time in his life? Now, by the way, you don't need to do this, although for the sake of learning you should. But when I did after I read that, even though I just finished the assignment there, I got my quote in question. But Google lotus eater, because it is fascinating. Because again, like lotus eater, like, I don't know what that means. But simply go Wikipedia, fantastic, and let you know what that is. And it brings a whole sentence and the context to life. Like, okay, now I got it. This is a person who's living a very decadent, opulent life with time on their hands. Not interested in business or helping large society or anything. They're simply enjoying, in a very decadent, kind of relaxed kind of way, the pleasure life. They're just chilling. There we go. They're just chilling. They're just chilling, not really doing anything day after day. So although it'll be relaxing, it sounds like a nice vacation, but it's not a vacation for them. This is what they do, which is not a lot, frankly. Okay. But again, you don't need to have that answer, although, again, I encourage you guys as you read to be curious, to look for the answer. But for this assignment, you generally don't know the answer, simply putting down a question. Make sense? All right. So, and then finally, the last Augustus assignment for that week would be Chapter 1. I'm not going to read over my 2 samples, but you can look at them. See the first one again, quote, page number, explain why I say that's significant. Second quote, but this one, after the quote, comes the question, as you guys know, page number question. Now, this one I do want to show you guys. And so now we finished our 3 reads for the week in Augustus. Now we grab our other textbook. Maybe I find a new chair, or I come back, tomorrow for this one, and I read the Judgments of Hammurabi. And that was pages, I think, 15 to 13, whatever. So that's in this textbook right here. Now, this book is not in easy chapters like you have here in Augustus. This is very simple. Read Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Chapter 3. This one is, I'm going to assign individual primary sources. So for each one, that specific page numbers and title, think of that as like a chapter. So for week 2, which is on the sample I'm showing you guys, you'll notice there's 2 separate primary sources listed you need to read, and so you'll have quotes for both of them. So the first one is Judgments of Hammurabi. I think you guys know the drill, right? And it's actually a short quote here. It says, if he has destroyed the eye of a slave, he shall pay half his value. And then you put the page number, that's page 14 from your textbook showing where I got it from. And then you see my comment on the significance. Since earlier portions of this code between class or social equals carry an eye for an eye penalty, this portion in which a slave is injured reveals starkly the class and human value differences between a social class. And again, I think I worked on this yesterday. There's some typos in this. Let's fix it. Classes of Hammurabi's era. Okay, there you go. And then the second quote from the Judgment Hammurabi, this one is quote, and then question. If rebels meet in the house of a wine seller and she does not seize them and take them to the palace, that wine seller shall be slain. Boy, that's a tongue twister. Wine seller shall be slain. In any case, that's on page 15. So my question was, scroll, there we go. Were wine sellers predominantly women? This portion of the code appears to implicate because it says she is a wine seller. Doesn't mean males don't get punished, but doesn't mention males also. Presumably in that culture, I guess wine sellers maybe in these small bars, I guess, are predominantly women. I don't know. That's my question. So is that the case? What's going on here? Which mentioned the wine seller being female, them executed if they don't report, these traitorous conversations they overhear. Okay. Same thing for, I think I skipped over this Epic of Gilgamesh, but you see the same deal, right? You see a quote right here, and there's a page number where I was found from the reading, and then here is my statement on significance. Same thing. Next one. Another quote right here, page number, and then there's my question. So that's what you're doing for each week. Make sure you guys do all the Augustus chapters for that week, and you do all the primary sources assigned for that week, and then you'll save it in this document, and next week we'll just add to it. Now, I only did week 2. I'm not doing the whole semester, but you guys will be. But you have week 3, week 4, week 5, week 6, etc. Eventually get close to the midterm, you'll turn in your first big group of all those weeks of questions and quotes. I shouldn't say questions. Quotes, significance, and questions. You'll turn them all in. At the midterm, you'll start a brand new document that follows from the midterm as you do like week 10, week 11, week 12, like that. So I think you guys will do well with this. It's not hard. Just want you to be thoughtful. Again, just have your books with you. Have your laptop or computer handy. As you read the chapters or read the primary sources, you simply find quotes that grab you or engage you or, in some way that quote resonates with you. And the first one, again, you talk about why it's significant, what that tells you about that time period, or why it's significant to you, either way. And the second one, of course, is a second quote, but that one you create a question based on that quote. You don't answer it right, just create a question like, why would they have done this? Like, why would Augustus have thought this? What's going on in this era that this would have happened? That kind of stuff. So just be thoughtful. So just to wrap it all up and get to an end here, I'm just looking for you guys to be thoughtful. I don't grade this on you using the vocabulary that I use and so forth. No. I want to know what you guys thought as you guys engage. So you guys, again, you choose the quotes. I don't choose it for you. You choose the quotes. You explain why it's significant to you. And same thing for the quote and then the question, a genuine, honest question you have. The only way students lose points is if I can tell from the quality of what they put forward, they spent no time thinking about it. Otherwise, you get all the points. It's great for your grade. It will do very well for you guys and really help you grade out. And also, I hope it's just good for you as you're reading to help you process and be thinking and help you grab on to important moments that occur in those chapters or in those primary source readings and help you on a deeper level engage the reading and the text. That's the purpose of us doing this together. So, all right, just keep up with this. Don't fall behind because obviously when you do it, I think it doesn't take that long. But if you fall behind, that would get pretty tough. So I think that's good. I hope that makes sense to you guys, and I look forward to reading your questions. I do. I look forward. I like seeing what quotes you guys come up with. Sometimes things that resonate or grab you, or as things necessarily would not jump out for me. So I like reading through your fresh eyes. So I'm really looking forward to that, and look forward to reading your response to readings, direct quote analysis when they get turned in later in the semester at the final. So until that time, we'll see you later. Take care, everybody.